I'm going to tell you why Shaiapouf is one of the best characters ever, and let's get to it. Hey guys, it's your boy, the boy Teviha, and welcome to my video. Let's talk about a normal anime cliche antagonist for a minute. I'm not talking about the final big boss villain, but rather the sub-villains. You know the kind. They are most of the time too arrogant, just bad for the sake of being bad, and has no motive. Once again, this is most of the time. They are the type of characters that we don't care about after they get killed. And this is where HunterXHunter, or rather Chimera Ant arc, is so different. At first, the Chimera Ants acted like the typical anime villains that I spoke about before, but as the queen ate more humans, the character of these Chimera Ants started to change, and an elite royal guard called Shaiapouf was born. Shaiapouf was a very proud, calm and charismatic person. You could just feel the way he carries himself, and in the way he speaks. He didn't want to get involved in fights like Peter, but we knew that he has to be strong because he is the royal guard. And when the king and the guards took over the castle and started preparing themselves for the human swording, Komugi comes in. The king just wanted to kill time until the swording took place, and this is the turning point of the Chimera Ant arc, where we got to see two of the best things in the series, Meruem's character growth and Poof's unwavering resolve. Until now, Meruem conquered all the board games, and Gungi is the only board game left. Meruem starts to lose Gungi matches, but no one was worried because the king was learning all the moves and tricks as he was playing. And while this was going on, Poof realized that Komugi is also improving at a remarkable rate, and now he is not sure whether the king will be able to beat Komugi. And Poof thinks that he has to kill this blind girl because she is a bird to the king, and he almost did it as well. He gets up from his chair when Komugi was passing him by, and his book fell down. That was kind of a wake-up call to Poof. Then he realized that if he had killed Komugi right there, then she would die as a Gungi master, who was never defeated. And the king would have to live his life knowing that this blind girl Komugi always bested him. Poof straight away realized the mistake he almost committed and started to punish himself. I mean, no one was watching Poof at the moment. He was completely alone. He could have just let it slide and moved on from it, or at best, think that he would never do something like that again. But no. Poof took his violin, and as he was playing, he was questioning himself whether he was really suited to be a royal guard. To him, he had done something so bad that he should pay for it with his life, even though he didn't do anything. He is punishing himself just for thinking that. And after some time, the king was enjoying playing Gungi with this blind girl and asked for her name. And when she asked back what the king's name was, the king didn't know. So he gathered up his royal guards and asked if they knew his name. And here Poof gets to know that king had even asked for Komugi's name. Now Poof is worried. The other guards didn't think of it that much, but Poof knows that the king only wanted to kill time with these games, and there is no meaning to these games. But still the king went out of his way to ask Komugi for her name, and now Poof wants to get rid of Komugi because he realizes that Komugi can change the king, and it could be troublesome. And soon after, the king says that even though people like Komugi will die during the swording because they lack the physical strength to pass the test, they are still strong in their own different ways. And the king speaks about a little kid who he killed earlier without mercy. And the king says that this kid might have had the potential to defeat the king in his own way. Now Poof thinks that the king is about to regret his actions, and in Poof's eyes, a leader should never do that, and that the king has to be firm with his decisions. But that was not the case. Meruem wanted to say that he can do anything because he is the pinnacle of evolution. And once again Poof cries, saying that he is not qualified to be a royal guard because he almost stopped the king from talking, because Poof came to the wrong conclusion. And even the other guards say that Poof is thinking way too much. And when the attack on the castle happened, Poof rushed back to the king, but he went to the throne room. The king wasn't there. At the same time, Poof realized where the king was at. He was in the guest room. And Poof once again gets annoyed with himself because deep down he knew where the king was at, but he came to the wrong place. And soon afterwards, Morel trapped him, and now Poof can't even go to the king. And then Poof politely asked Morel while crying whether he could go to the king. This is so unique because we don't see character moments like this very often. Then obviously Morel doesn't let him go, and Poof is so disappointed in himself. But Poof snuck out of the smoke and went to Pito and sees that Pito is not fighting the enemy. She is healing Komugi instead. And he realizes the changes in Pito, and he is confused because he didn't see what happened and what the king told Pito to do. In Poof's mind, Pito should kill the intruders, but she isn't doing that. Because of that, Poof is now confused, and then he met Youpi in his new horse form. And then Poof asked Youpi a question to test Youpi's resolve, because now Poof is suspicious after seeing Pito so defensive earlier. And Youpi gives the right answer, or the answer that Poof wanted to hear. Then they went to the king and found the king's body, which had shrunk down after the explosion from the rose. And Poof happily gives a lot of his cells to the king so that the king can regrow himself. And he can sense the joy that the king felt at the point, and UP starts to do the same. And for a moment Poof is kind of jealous because he wanted to be the only one to help the king. But he is also happy because the king was happy. And when Poof realized that the king has lost his memories, he immediately figures out that this is his chance to eliminate Komugi once and for all. Because now it is like that the king has restarted himself. And this is the only chance that Poof has to erase Komugi out of Meruem's memory. And to be honest, Poof tried everything he could do to keep Komugi away from the king. He tried to kill Komugi. And when he realized that he couldn't catch Killua with his god speed, he tried to chase them away. And he transformed himself to Komugi and called Pito and said that she is all fine so that Pito can kill Gon. And when the king was near the castle, Poof quickly went to the king's room and hid all of the Gungi pieces so that Meruem would not regain his memories of playing Gungi with Komugi by seeing the Gungi pieces. But by this point, Meruem already knows that Poof is hiding something because now Meruem has Poof's ability of reading emotions, guilt, joy, confusion, etc. And Meruem tells to Poof that the only reason Meruem hasn't already killed Poof is that even though Poof is hiding something, Meruem can feel that it is out of loyalty to the king. Poof once again cries in happiness because that is one of the highest compliments that you can get from the king after hiding something from the king. And Poof proposes a game. Even though he knows that the word game could trigger memories, Poof is willing to take the gamble because Poof needs more time to find Komugi and kill her. The game is basically a race. Poof and UP are to find Pito, and the king should find the other intruders, Palm and Ikago. Whoever completes their part first wins the game. If the king wins, Poof has to reveal his secrets, and if Poof wins, he can keep his secrets. And Poof sends UP to guard the truck in case Pito comes back and Poof goes to find Komugi. Meanwhile, Welfin has a message to the king and he is looking for the king. And Meruem uses N to detect what's going on and to detect who is reacting to his N. And he senses Welfin. So Meruem goes to Welfin. Here Poof interrupts Meruem's questions because Welfin knows what Poof has done up to now and Welfin could give away Poof's secrets. And Poof knows that no one can just interrupt Meruem and get away with it. But he did so knowing fully well that the king could end his life. But he did all of that to protect the king in the way he thought was best for the king. And Meruem was so pissed and gave Poof a look that would make others shiver, but not Poof. He was smiling because he has already accepted death at this point, because he knows that until now he has been playing Meruem with games, hiding the truth and all, and he knew his time was up. He was smiling because he knows he will still die protecting the king. And Meruem feels this. He has now spiritual message, so he can read emotions, and Poof's devotion stopped Meruem from killing Poof. And then when Meruem turned back to Welfin, Welfin was so scared that he even aged on the spot. He was so scared he knew that all he is allowed to say is one word, and he mentions the name Komugi. And then Meruem regained all of his memories, and Poof realizes how much Meruem cares for Komugi, and how much she means to him. And this is where Poof realizes that Meruem has become more of a human than a chimera ant who wanted to take over humanity. After that, Welfin says the only true king is Gyro, and that Meruem is an enemy. Then Meruem says to Welfin that Welfin should look for Gyro, and if possible should live as a human being. And Poof cries and punches himself because he now knows that he has failed. All of his efforts to keep the king above humanity, to control all living beings, were in vain. Even normal soul giants like Welfin can just talk back to Meruem and get away with it. This is how much humble and pure Meruem has become after regaining Komugi's memories. And to make things worse, Meruem goes straight to Komugi, passing by Poof, without saying a single word. And even after Poof's death, because he also got poisoned, there was nothing to be happy about. We can clearly feel the depressing vibe in the atmosphere. This is the brilliance of the Chimera Ant arc. I want to make a video on the Chimera Ant arc. I think I will make one later. But anyways, the king died too soon afterwards because of the poison. Poof knew this as well. He felt that something was wrong with him, and even Meruem knew that he only had a few moments left. That's why Poof wanted to evacuate Meruem quickly as possible. But he failed that too. At the end, Poof died knowing that he couldn't even save King from humanity, who created this inhuman bomb. You could see the marks showing that Poof has dragged himself to the king even in his final moments. So, Poof basically did everything for the king. He took all the decisions for the king's sake and did whatever he thought that was best for the king. He was proud but was also not afraid to show his emotions to other people, for example against Mordor. That is a huge plus in my book. But after doing all of that, after sacrificing so much for the king, Poof died in a depressing manner. And this is why Poof is one of the best written antagonists of all time. So guys, that is it for the video. If you like these types of content, please make sure to like and share, and don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell thing to always get notified first. This is the boy Devya, and I will see you soon.